everyone. Hey, congratulations on your new short documentary, How I Roll.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
More of a congratulations is being showcased at Dances with Films Festival this year, one of the most prestigious film festivals in the world. So how do you folks feel about that?
We're so excited, so thrilled. It's like one of those moments where you feel so successful and accomplished as a filmmaker. And like, I don't want to be super cliche and say dreams coming true, but it really does have that feeling. Like to be able to screen with Dances with Films, I think is a huge accomplishment and something that we're all very excited about and honored and grateful for. And in fact, we were supposed to premiere somewhere else, and when we found out that Dances with Films was interested, we were like, all right, no question, Dances with Films is where we're gonna go. No disrespect to the other festival, but you know, it wasn't the same.
Robin, how did you feel about your story being told at Dances with Films?
I was so excited and honored that, the film festival viewed it in its intent and its entirety. And it's just so special for me to tell my story and to have the kind of result that I was hoping for or envisioned.
Well said, well said. Brianne, Miguel, tell us what sparked you to make this documentary film in the first place.
I'll let you answer that.
Okay.
She's the better answerer. That's why I.
So we were immediately inspired by Robin's story. I mean, it's such a multi-layered, motivational, like deeply painful, but also deeply inspiring story. And the films that we like to create are films that can show that we can still have light despite the darkness, and that there's something as a human being that we can all connect and relate to from a human perspective. And our mission is really to put a little bit more of that way of thinking and being into the world. And Robin's story was just exactly and 100% aligned with that. So that was definitely something from the beginning that we were like, oh, this is a powerful story that can really touch people and that can allow the connection of humanity from that place. And then from even just that level, also be inspiring. It's something that people can walk away and have perspective on their own lives and maybe, create a little shift toward more light and more kindness.
Definitely, as filmmakers, we've been working, in this case, it's Robin, and she's a person, but we've been working with other organizations because we want to show their story because we think it's so inspiring. And in this case, Robin's story was so inspiring that we felt like it was needed to be told. So we're very happy to be part of of this project.
Now let me backtrack a little bit. How did you find out about Robin's story?
So Robin and my mother are very good friends. And we met with Robin years ago. I forget exactly what year it was, but it was several years ago. And Robin was in a position where she wanted to tell her story, and we were in a position of we would love to tell your story. And we worked for many years. We were just talking through it and having conversations and having meetings and having phone calls. And then finally, during the pandemic in 2021, we started filming.
Well said, well said. Robin, how did they convince you to be a part of this? It sounds like you do want to tell the story.
Yes, I very much wanted to tell the story. And like Brianne said, we had numerous conversations, and I just felt like they shared my spirit in a way. They had the right personalities for me, and they were able to interpret my story really, really brilliantly on film, which, and they encapsulated what I really wanted to achieve. They heard me. And
Isn't it, Robin, isn't it kind of tough to retell the story because of all the experiences you went through, especially the fact that these aren't easy stories to tell?
is it difficult? I don't think so, because I think that's the beauty of my life and what I want to say. You know, my skills are such that I did not allow the downside to overtake me as a person.
Well said. Brianne, Miguel, tell us about as filmmakers on how you want to approach Robin's story in this case, because her stories are very, very complex, and you want to be delicate on retelling her stories.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely wanted to make sure that we were tenderly telling Robin's story, and I even recall prior to interviews we were always like, obviously if something doesn't feel right, just let us know. You know, it's like that moment of being a documentarian, especially. There's an element of what you want with the story, but then you're dealing with a real human being, right? Who has gone through some tremendous life experience. So there's that balance of making sure that we're being respectful and honoring who Robin is and how comfortable she feels. And then, of course, also in the edit, like making sure that the story was very clear, but also in line with the message that we wanted to share, and making sure that we showed obviously Robin's humanity and her vulnerability and what she really is going through in her mind constantly, but also her immense strength and impact that she has, with the fact that regardless of the darkness that she faces, whether that's what she has to deal with in her mind on a daily basis or the challenges she faced with these circumstances in her life, she chooses for, okay, I'm going to get through this. Okay, I have to stay positive. I can choose to be positive or negative in this situation. I'm going to be positive. So definitely with a lot of care, we handled all aspects of the filming, the conversations, the edit,
And
the
it was very
storytelling.
exciting to edit for different reasons. Like I remember when Brianne had the idea that this had to be like from inside of her head, you know, so that was giving us already a perspective for the movie to be like, okay, this is all from really, we can be with her, you know. But there were so many conversations about the structure, like how do we tell every single element, because there's so many layers, you know, that it's a short film, so unfortunately you can't go deeper into the elements. But there's so many things that we always spoke about, like this is a series, this is a feature film, because there's so many things to explain, you know, it's very complex. But we were like, you know, we were able to put all together, and yeah, we're very proud of the final result.
Wow. Robin, tell us about your MS situation today, where this has progressed and how you live with it, and it's so important to tell onto this film.
My MS, I have primary progressive, just so you know, which is the most severe kind of MS. It slowly gets worse, and it's the least populated for drug funding money, you know, from the drug companies, because it's the least amount of population. With that said, I think I've done a great job managing my MS, not only emotionally, but through physical exercise. I think I say in the film, I did not go on the chemotherapies that were available as I was in my late 30s and 40s. I chose sports or yoga or swim or what have you. And here I am on the other side. It has gotten worse, but I'm still at the gym. And I just feel very grateful for my choices, you know, for me personally.
Now, it sounds like you have no regrets in choosing the physical route of handling the MS. Why did you go this route per se?
Um, I would say when I was first diagnosed, maybe drugs did not come as far along at the time. I knew people that had relapsed into wheelchairs, and I was so afraid of that. And I just said to myself, you are not going to end up, you know, in a wheelchair sooner than you have to. And from that inner emotion, I think I took a leap of faith in my judgment. And we all, as you know, have to be our own doctors. They can only give you suggestions, and then you really have to take medicine into your own hands and be responsible for yourself, I think.
Brianne, Miguel, tell us about your approach on filming that part of her journey where she basically goes through physical activities, and how you want to tell that battle with MS.
So it's something that we talked about, and we've even had these conversations with Robin of like, we want this to be not that you're disabled, even though, you know, one could say that that is the case, but that you're abled differently. Because the thing that's so powerful about Robin is that she continues to move through life and do everything. So we wanted that to be something that visually you were like, oh, this woman really powers through this physically, even though she doesn't have full use of her legs. And she has to really think about, how am I standing up? How am I getting to this counter to wash my hands, or whatever that moment might be. So it is so integral for Robin's life also to be exercising, to be doing yoga, because Robin can speak to it also. It helps her condition. When she doesn't exercise or do yoga, then she feels it more in her legs, or she feels it in her body more. So we thought that this was a really great way to just like show, don't tell, right? In that way, where you're seeing Robin going through her exercise, going through her yoga, because it is so much a part of who she is and how she handles some of her circumstances. And then also to get her yoga instructor and her physical trainer to speak from their perspective, because it's one thing to see Robin doing it, and it's another thing to hear Robin talk about it herself, but then to speak to professionals who do this on a daily basis to say like, I don't even want to get up sometimes and do this exercise. And here's Robin every single day getting up and doing this exercise. And she has every reason to say she's not going to, you know? So we really wanted to allow that to speak for itself in a way.
And one of the elements we also wanted to show, and that it was reflected but not as deeper as we would have loved to, was the fact that Robin was in between Miami and New York, which added complexity to the whole thing. And we wanted to show her reality in both places, where in New York it's such a, you know, it's a jungle, and there's so many roads that are not in a good condition, and problems with ramps, and there's all of these limitations that we wanted to also reflect, you know. And same with Miami, but again, because of being a short film and our limitations, we couldn't get too deep into that, but that was definitely an element we wanted to show of her struggle. And so that was an element to consider when we were shooting. Yeah, what else can I think of? Yeah, I mean, it was to work with her, and she was working with us. You know, it was a very nice, what is the word I'm looking
Symbiosis.
for? Symbiosis, you know, like, okay, like, let's make it all natural. What will you do right now? Let's go, let's follow you. Let's, you know, where are you? Where is it more complicated? Let's show it, you know? And so, yeah, we're very happy with the choices.
Well said, well said. Robin, you know, the short film not only addressed MS, but it also addressed the shootings that you know, your parents went through, and also the cancer diagnosis that with your husband. Tell us why those stories also are important for you to tell.
Well, the first story in regards to my father, I think that I say in the film that certain incidents in your life aren't necessarily roadblocks. They need to become building blocks. And I had written in the time, it happened in 81, in the time, a treatment of film to, you know, about what happened, because there were so many layers and complexities and dynamics to the story. And I think I stored that. And then I came down with MS, and I drew upon, it's interesting, you draw upon strengths that you collect in life, and they just bring you to better places, or you're better equipped to handle your next situation, you know, which we all have in life, you know. But I think when I look out into the climate today, I don't think we're as skilled and as happy as we can be, you know, with things. You know, people want a quick fix, and it's just not how it works. And there still can be joy as you're fixing your life, because isn't that the journey? We all have a journey. And so from that perspective, I really wanted to tell this story and the incidents, even though they are so intimately a part of who I am.
Well said, well said. Brianne, Miguel, how do you want to carefully approach those stories to complement, the MS story overall?
That was a complicated thing because, of course, as filmmakers, I always joke that filmmakers, filmmaking makes you a worse person because the more painful the footage you get, the more, the better feeling you get. But of course, it's such a
I remember when
sensitive thing to do because it's Robin's family. It's so difficult. But at the same time, for us, it's like, okay, how much can we show to put the audience on the play, in the place?
Yeah. And I remember when we received the documents from the DA, from the Queen's DA, who provided us with the real footage that we have, the true crime footage in the film. Robin had not seen those materials prior, ever. And we received them and we were like, okay, how do we send this to her? Like, how do we like gently share these very intense images with her? And we called Robin and we were like, okay, do you want to see it? Do you not want to see it? Like, how do you want to approach this? But this is what happened and this is the reality. And then I remember even when we were working on those scenes, there were many images that we did not put in because it was just like, it was too much. But then even the image that we did choose that was very shocking, it was like, okay, how do we properly frame this? How do we make this as real, but as soft?
Yeah.
So that it's not just like, oh my goodness, like not so cringe worthy really, but also taking Robin into consideration of like, she needs to watch this, her mother needs to watch this, her children need to watch this, and this is their family.
Yeah.
So how do we be honest and truthful, but also tender? And Robin was like amazing, like so strong. Also, I remember Robin was like, wow, that's a lot, but that's what happened, so right, Robin, you remember that conversation? We called her, we're like, so we just received the materials and we were so excited that the DA gave us they don't usually give their files so easily. It took us a few months to get.
Almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we received it and we're like, okay, how do you want to go about this?
Well, what was going through your head, Robin, when you finally got those images?
Oh my God, it brought me back. I remember going to the trials, supporting my mother, who, as I say, was paralyzed the first year I moved in with her. But on the same token, it's part of who I am, and I think it's helped me become who I am today, and solve issues in a much different light than I probably could have without all these experiences. My capabilities are better.
Mm-hmm. Well said, well said. And Robin, one of the things in the film addressed was the idea of loneliness, because it seems like you're battling this by yourself, where you've been taking care of others throughout your entire life. Is that still the case, or do you feel being supported?
Wow, that's such a tough question. The emptiness comes from losing your best friend, so the hours in the day are more. And I'm handicapped, but I feel so youthful and can you repeat the I sort of like lost my train of thought. I think you
I just wanted to say, do you feel supported rather than being lonely today?
Yes, via my children and my new grandchildren, it has brought a new joy. And I think I've learned so well to yes, I have to say yes.
Most excellent. Well, let me wrap it up with one last question for all three of you. As audiences have a chance to watch this film, How I Roll, what is the one most important take you hope they walk away with?
Who wants to start?
I was going to say a little bit of perspective that life is what you make it. and we all have the ability to choose our reaction in a moment, and we therefore all have the ability to be a little more kind, a little more patient, a little more loving with ourselves and others.
Mhm. In my case, I think it's just that we're all human. We're all going through a very similar process. You know, it takes different shapes, but we're all struggling with that. You know, we all have parents, and most have also special ones. And yeah, loneliness is a very strong thing. So I just want to make people aware of everyone's pain and realities.
Robin, you have the last word.
I think that I want to also say, which we didn't touch upon, you have to keep a sense of humor as well. That the film touches upon so many emotions a human being goes through, that at the end of the day, to climb the ladder, you need to keep a good sense of humor in the back of your mind.
That is very good advice. Well, Brianne, Miguel, Robin, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us. Enjoy Los Angeles at Dances with Films, and Robin, continue to fight. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.